Greetings, my name is Slight, and welcome to the Bazaar. We just got a ranked reset, and I don't have a huge amount of time to play, so we've got to restart our climb to Legend here. This is going to be an over-explain on Vanessa. If you're looking to learn how to play Vanessa in the current patch, she is my most played character, although I play all three of them. So let's jump into this. I just need to make sure that, yeah, okay, I have cosmetics that make sense for Vanessa. All right, let's do it. I just had a pretty cool port build. So let's see what the Bazaar throws at us today. Alright, so let's do our starting items. We've got some interesting starting items here. This is not an easy pick. None of these are super strong, and so this is a great way to kind of actually teach something. So I do think there's one that stands above the rest, although that has changed recently. So I'll go worst to best. I think that Vanessa's Amulet here is the worst one to pick first. And let me just redo my audio here. Vanessa's Amulet, the big problem here is that one thing that you need to realize about the Bazaar is that you really want to be starting strong if you can, mostly because there's nothing wrong with trying to scale into the late game. That is a legitimate strategy. The Bazaar is built around your ability to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But the main thing is, we can scale into the late game, but even if we are going to scale into the late game and we're going to lose day 3, 4, 5, it's really good to win day 1 and 2, because now instead of winning on day 14 and 15, I have to win on day 12 and 13, right? Does that make sense? Because I've already won 2 early game fights, I don't have to make up those victories in the very, very late game, where we might fight someone with an entirely filled board of icy enchantments, right? Where someone's had 15 days of decisions to get their build just absolutely cracked. So that's why Vanessa's Amulet, great item in general, would love to have this on my board, but it helps us in no way win the first fights. Now, conversely, Hand Axe here is almost only good early game. Its benefit here at the bottom, where it gives all other weapons plus 9 damage, this is not bad. It also gives itself 9 damage, so you should read this as doing 24 damage every 7 seconds, which is about 3 damage per second on a small item, which is not terrible. And that's just it vanilla on the board. Hand Axe is one of the better starting items that you can get. Recently, Chum got a significant buff and Piranha got a buff. So that makes this Piranha actually kind of interesting as a starting item, because it is going to come out with a 12 damage Piranha that has a 20% crit chance, and then we have that natural scaling with 6% crit. All right, before Sandstorm hits at 30 seconds, so 30 divided by 4 is similar to 32 divided by 8, and 32 divided by 8 is 4. So this will go off about 8 times in a fight. So 8 times 6 is 48. So that's going to add, probably more like 44 crit for that last hit, right? Assuming we get the time to scale. And so 44 plus 20% crit is 64% crit at the end. The question is that enough? This item is sort of has built-in scaling for the Piranha. If we get 2 or 3 crits off of that Piranha, maybe that matters, because that Piranha has the unique ability where it doubles crit chance. So Chum here is actually a newly buffed item that actually is kind of in the running here. And then we have Harpoon. I do personally love Harpoon. I think Harpoon is really well positioned in the meta, especially if you can upgrade it, especially if you can solve its ammo problems. And really, one of the nice things about Harpoon is you don't need it. It eventually loses steam. Like, it becomes ineffective at a certain point, so you actually don't need it to have infinite ammo. I wish there were more items like this that really don't need infinite ammo to have their effect, Harpoon's one of them, which makes it kind of better early. Because let's say your opponent just has like 2 small items on their board and then something kind of random that's not doing very much. Well, maybe their small items are all of their power. You destroy one of their most important items, and now you have the next 23 seconds before Sandstorm hits to just do whatever you have on your board. So all that being said, I think Vanessa's amulet's the worst. I think there's a case for all three of these. Harpoon is the least, is the one that is best set to scale later. Chum and Hand Axe are more important now, but I'm going to lean into what I think is the best decision here and just take Hand Axe. Hand Axe is nice because it's very simple for us to just get some weapons on the board and have a really good shot at the first fight. So right now, the way that the Bazaar plays out in the early game is it's best to just take both experience options. You're pretty much like, I think I've only seen like 1 or 2 runs ever where I have managed not to get 2 experience options. And the reason is because if you take both experience, you fight, you win your day 1 fight, you guarantee your level up before day 2, and then you go into day 2 with 50 extra health. 100 extra health here is what it says. I think that's correct. As well as a bronze tier skill and 2 extra slots. All right. That is a massive, massive advantage over your opponent. And so even if your opponent has better stuff, usually that's just the better way to go. So we just take the thing that gives me experience here. Now, as far as picking a fight here, this has no weapons. This has no weapons. This has weapons. So it's a very simple decision. And I'm going to pause the video so you don't watch this. Alright, we killed the Fang Inglet. I'd be happy with a weapon here. More than anything, we got the pelt. Unfortunate. One of the interesting things about this situation is that, so, we're actually in a kind of good position because it's my understanding in the Bazaar that on a single day, you're only ever going to be offered a single, like, event, essentially one of these options here, one time. So by already seeing Curio, it means we're not going to see Curio tomorrow, and we're more likely to see a weapon vendor or Andy, the small items vendor, all of which would be extremely good for us. So seeing, like, one of the tough things is sometimes on the day that you actually go to a vendor to buy, you will, that's when you're not offered experience. You get a vendor that's really not very good. That does happen sometimes, and that's part of the interesting way that this early game plays out. Sometimes there are the decisions where you don't want to necessarily do this level up strategy, but in general, I think it's easiest to just go this path for now. There, you know, in my last run, I didn't do this, and I knew why, and it worked out quite well, but you have to know what you're doing if you're going to do that. So here, we're just going to take the simple route. We're going to take experience. Also, I want to call out there that, oh, and we got Andy here, so that's really, really good for us. This is, see how we don't get an experience option here? We're going to level up. Here's a big tip. If you're having trouble calculating how much experience you're going to gain in a given day, the best way to think about that is how many open slots do I have left on my day? Okay? So if I'm at the top of day 1, I know I'm going to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because all of these will be open. That's the number of guaranteed experience you're going to get. Right now, I know I'm still going to get 1 more. Okay, that's the best way to think about it, and that really simplifies how much experience am I gaining. I wanted to call this out. If you have a question about something specific I say, please do ask in the comments, but include a timestamp so I can go back. You know, I have a lot of stuff going on in my life. I don't remember what I said, and I don't want to find exactly what you're talking about. And sometimes, even though our best attempts at communication may seem clear, they sometimes don't pass on your understanding to the person that you're talking to. So include that timestamp so I can review the video time that you watched that made you have your question so that I can answer it better. Perfect. Perfect. I don't need to sell this yet. Let's go to Andy. Now, importantly, I need to make sure that I not just fill up this board, but I'm going to level up, so I need to buy a total of 6 items. If I can do that, then I'm in a really good spot. And I should be able to do that here. So I'm just going to buy this and this. And Silencer is not a weapon, but it's a very good item, so we'll go ahead and buy that. And we want to put that damage bonus on our lowest cooldown item, here, the Revolver. It's a 3-second cooldown. And then we will refresh. We want 2 more items. Happy to take Grappling Hook and Bayonet. Both of those will fit on our board here, and we leave the encounter. Perfect. All right, bronze tier skills. Strength would be really good, but left-handed is also great. There's a case here for Keen Eye. We definitely don't want improved toxins. these are good enough that I would not re-roll. I would not try to go for something more. I'd be happy with 4% crit. The reason Keen Eye's decent is because it's just 4% crit on everything on your board. It's going to fit in any build, and every once in a while hitting a 4% crit really matters. Especially if you have like a one weapon build or something like that that doesn't have a lot of crit. But here I think left-handed is just the way to go. 20 damage. We'll put this on our lowest cooldown item, which is going to be our revolver, just like this. And then we'll put bayonet on our second lowest cooldown item, which is the narwhal, and it gets the bonus from hand axe. And then we'll throw grappling hook on the board. And now we are very well positioned. Now I do think that that's incorrect. I'm going to report that issue here. See how we only gained 50 health, but it said we were going to gain 100 health? So let's just report that bug real quick. Okay, that's sent. And let's fight Doomscroll. Okay, so he did not... He's got a pretty good thing going on here, but we noticed he did not level up. And he does not have a lot of regen, so the chance of him winning here is extremely low. Especially because, I mean, we just have a lot of damage compared to him. And here we're seeing the strength of that hand axe come into play. Hand axe ended up being 24 plus 1, 2, 3, 4 times 9. 36. 24 plus 36 is 60, right? So this was actually a 60 damage item, which is pretty sweet. That's not the best calculation, but I think that you get what I'm trying to say. It added a total of 60 damage to our board. The actual DPS it did is totally different. Okay, so we've moved past the early game. All right, I think what I've given you so far is a really comprehensive way to move through picking your first item based on what we were offered, and getting through that early game, positioning yourself in a good position. Now, the big thing I want to call out is that don't get stuck in a build, okay? Do not get stuck in a build, all right? Sure, we've got this kind of little item thing going on, and that might last for a little while, right? But don't get stuck into that mentality. For the right thing, I would sell everything on my board here, all right? For the right item, I am not tied to this. I don't care what's on my board. I want to get the best thing on my board each day, all right? That's the main thing. So, for the rest of this video, kind of took you through day one, I'm going to kind of pop in and out of the run at key moments. And when I hit those key moments, I'm going to kind of catch you up on the build, and then I'm going to present you a question. What would you do in the situation that I'm in? And I want you to pause, and I want you to think through that, and then once you've kind of decided what you would do, unpause and listen to what I'm going to do. That's going to be the best way for you to actually get something out of this, and so that's what we're going to do for the rest of the run. So I'll see you in just a second. Okay, so we're still on day 2 here. We defeated the Warrior here and got Lumbors. We are presented with Colt, Mountain Pass, and 2 regen. Alright, I already have 5 regen from a Fins that I took. What would you do in this situation? Don't forget to pause if you haven't paused already. Alright, we're back. This is a really tough choice, alright? But there are some questions that we need to answer. All right. So right now I'm about to level up. I know because it's I have 1 experience left, and I'm going to gain 2 more experience because of these empty spots on the time tracker. That I'm guaranteed to level up to level 3. That's going to add 2 slots. So currently I have a pretty good item here because it just kind of gains a damage stuff. This is a scaling item. It's nothing special, don't get me wrong, but it is a significant improvement to our board, right? So I have a way to fill my board. So that makes Colt a little less powerful because we don't need more items to fill our board. So then if I go to Mountain Pass, what would I do? There are 4 options in Mountain Pass. There is 2 gold, 1 experience, 5 gold. Do something risky, which could either be experience, an item, or a fight, especially a difficult fight it could be. Or I could spend $1 to gain 2 income. It's a really tough choice for me. I'm really, really struggling because I'm really deciding here between do I want to improve my board state and further increase my chances of winning the next fight? Oh, I love that. If you hover over this, it now moves around. Little stuff like that just makes me happy. Or do I extend my current lead, right? This is furthering my lead by making it even more likely that I win the next fight. I think I currently have like a 70% chance to win my next fight just because of the strength of my board. But I can improve that by going to Cult, and I have the money to buy something. But I could leverage my current lead and say, okay, that's good enough, and extend my advantage by getting income. Getting income on day 2 from Mountain Pass is one of the better ways that you can play the game, because it gives you income right at the kind of the earliest point that you can get it, and 2 income's quite a lot. And so if we just play 9 more days, that's 18 gold we've put in our pocket over the course of the game, which actually adds up to quite a lot, especially in the early game. Going from 5 to 7 is a significant income increase, because it's really saying, like, for the next 5 days, I'm going to have 10 extra gold, and that actually does matter. That matters quite a bit. So, I think at this point it would be kind of like up to you what to do. I do think that ammo items are really fun, but I think what I want to do, I'm really tempted to go for income. So let's do that. Yep, I'll take the income. That was a really tough choice. I think that there's no clear best option here. And while we're on here, in general, I would say that getting a loot item is going to be best, especially early, and maybe you can make the case for later. The times I take bronze item or whatever this is when I need more gold. So when this is offering me a gold item and I'm dead broke, sometimes I do take that over the bronze tier loot item, just because if it happens to be a large item, that's quite a bit of gold that I can pocket. And if what I need is gold, because I need to kind of like churn through some items and I need to hit some shops, that's when I decide to kind of go for this left option. That being said, load up here is a interesting choice, because this could be something that I really want to slap on my board. One of the tough things about ammo items, though, is that if you get something that's really like a grenade here, a bronze grenade, that's really not going to be able to fit on my board. So I think the safest choice here is to just take the bronze loot item. Unfortunately, we didn't get anything that's particularly useful. We got this little scrap here that doesn't really matter. But let's continue forward. We have some interesting options here as well. So we have a choice between Lickit and Andy, as well as getting a small shield item, which we do have the scrap for. Take a second, think about what you would do, pause the video. So, interesting. This is a rather tough choice. I really do like Lickit. I think that she can be very powerful. Adding flat damage or adding crit chance to some items that you plan to keep around, all of that can really matter. One tough thing is that the only 2 items I see on my board that I would plan to keep around for a long time, maybe 3 items, is Revolver, Silencer, and Bayonet. And so if I put Bayonet out, I guess I could do something like this, and then I would have the damage booster right here, and then it would hit these 2 items. So that's not bad. Or I can go to Andy here and potentially get some better items. We do have our income. I kind of like Lickit here. I could see Bayonet fitting on the board for a while, just as a way to increase damage. And it actually levels up pretty nicely. If we look at Bayonet, if I remember correct. Oh, actually they changed it. That's right. It used to level up better. Oh, wow. I can't remember if this got an overhaul, if this is exactly what it's looked like. I know that Fiery and Toxics changed. That was my Discord, not yours. So I'm going to pause. All right, my Discord's off, so that won't happen again. I think it's a real tough choice. Again, I think it's kind of pick your poison. I definitely don't think that it's worth it going to the shield item just because we have scrap. I think that's a trap. So I think I'm just going to go to Lick It and scale this up. There's a chance here that we could do a extra scaling. Whoa, this is silver. Look at that. I didn't know you could even get that. That's super interesting. So we have an option here to get a silver one for 8, which is 2% crit, which is pretty legit. The tough thing is I just don't have anything that putting crit on this is great, but putting crit on anything else on my board is like Narwhal's fine, I guess. Wow, tricky. I think this is new, where you can actually get higher rarity of these food items from Lick It. I'm kind of tempted to just take the damage. That's what I really wanted. But the crit's really good. Let's do the crit. So that's going to go on our board. And then we probably want to hit Narwhal. And we'll put this on Bayonet, even though it's not ideal. And then this is something we if it was really good, if this was hitting something really strong, then I would put this on my board now and start the scaling. But I don't think we're in a rush here. I think we can use Lumbors. I think we're in a fine spot. I do want to move all this stuff around so that my lowest cooldown best item is the one that's getting my left-handed trigger. And then Bayonet is on the second. Bayonet is better on Narwhal than on Lumbors because this will go off at 4 seconds. Even though these have the same effective cooldown, this hits first. And so that makes Bayonet a little bit better. So let's fight Sholb here and see if our riskier decisions are going to allow us to win this next fight. Both the decisions that we made extended, basically said we're strong enough right now. We don't need to get stronger. So we've got Cutlass, Silencer. Ooh, that is a very strong build. And we have no... but we do have this regen. Regen might be everything. As long as he doesn't crit. Oh, we crit. Nice. Very cool. Alright, we got the win. So I think that kind of shows that we made the right decisions there. We were able to gain income as well as set ourselves up for the future here. Oh, I can't open my stash while I'm in this. Can I open it now? Yeah. As well as get a super syrup. And we did not lose the next fight. That's exactly what we're looking for. And a lot of that damage came from Revolver. Setting ourselves up with the Silencer and the left-handed here. That did everything for us. We got a lucky crit there. We'll take it. So I'll see you in a sec. All right, we are back. So I've made a couple purchases. We are about to do our PvE fight on day 3 against these 3 opponents. And these are the items that I have purchased. Pause here. How would you set up your board? Alright, so Concealed Dagger got a damage buff, so it's not quite so trash as far as the damage is concerned. Grappling Hook is bad. We do want to keep Hand Axe on the board. It's just a lot of flat damage. For us to gain this friend benefit from Pet Rock, we need to take Narwhal off. And then, I actually think that a great choice here is to put Super Syrup on Concealed Dagger, because Concealed Dagger, when it crits, will actually gain double gold, which can be very strong. And this will be a way that we can keep our economy going really effectively. I did pick up a powder flask here. If I see a bronze powder flask, I'll pretty much always pick it up, kind of the same way with Silencer on Vanessa, just because if there is an opportunity to flex into an ammo item, it is critical that we have this powder flask that actually will continually refill it. Okay, so I've got both of my 2 items here that I want to put crit on. I don't want Narwhal anymore because that is going to mess up our Pet Rock here. And Pet Rock giving us 10% crit is really strong. But now I don't have anything for Bayonet to really hit, so I'm just going to put Lumbors in like this. And that'll do some scaling for us. And now this will start adding its 2% crit damage to these 2 items. And so now the question is, which opponent do we fight? Pause and think about it. If you haven't paused, I'm about to talk. So, we have some decent scaling here. This crit is going to mean that we have a higher chance that Revolver doesn't run out of ammo, and now everything has that 10% crit. Oh, there it is. Yeah, hand axe as well. Most importantly, this says when you crit, reload 2 ammo. It applies to anything. So as long as anything crits, this will reload 2 ammo. So now we're in a position where Revolver is very likely not to run out of ammo. All that being said, because we're doing pretty decent damage, Eccentric Etherite is definitely someone we can beat. I don't see anything that Frost Challenger or Tempest Flame Dance has that we really want. I mean, maybe the Bronze Cutlass, but it's not good enough. So let's do Eccentric Etherite.
Let's go, let's go, let's go!
Now, this Concealed Dagger is slow, but again, what we're doing is saying, hey, I have a decent enough early game, right? I am just trying to improve my late game. I'm getting an economy going, all right? I'm adding more crit chance to these items. I'm making myself stronger by leveraging my early game advantage. If I didn't have that early game advantage, I would be playing totally different. So, realistically, this kind of overexplained is almost all about how to leverage an early game advantage, and hand axe is the thing that's actually getting us through this early game. All right, barbed wire is nothing important, not a very strong item, but we do get a level up. All right, here's everything we have. What would you level up? And maybe more importantly, a better question is, would you level up or go to the bronze tier skill? Interesting. So this is a tough choice. Revolver. What does that gain? That just gains double damage each time, or rather 8 damage each time, which is fine. But I bet we could find that. We don't really like this one's a pretty easy find to level up. The tough thing is bronze items get more and more rare. So if we don't happen to find this revolver, then it might never get leveled up, which does get tough, right? And if this is an item we want to keep around, so there is a strong case there to level this up just so that we can find more upgrades for it later. That being said, the upgrades aren't super powerful. It's just 8 damage. Another good one is the silencer. Might be worth leveling up if we ever pivot into a one weapon build. Again, I am not sold on any of these items. Even this, I'd sell it. I am stacking it now because it's convenient for me, but you know, I'm not sold on it. We cannot level hand axe, but we could level pet rock, and that would give us an extra 5% crit chance across everything we have. I think I like that quite a bit, and I think that's what I'll end up doing. The bronze tier skills here is definitely not bad, but I do like pet rock here. I think it fits with what we're doing, and it just further extends what I want to be doing. All right, perfect. I think we've got an interesting decision here. Based on my board, we have, in my opinion, 3 tough choices: 80 health, Mountain Pass, or Barcoon. Pause the video. What would you do? All right, so 80 damage. I mean, 80 health is nothing to scoff at. That's really strong. Why is Barcoon good? It's because he will buy our small items at +1 value, and we have a lot of junk sitting around. Stuff that I might be willing to sell. I think I'd be willing to sell all of this here on the left. None of this is something and so I would basically get 1, 2, 3, 4 extra gold, totaling 8, 9 gold that I would just be able to grab if I go to Barcoon. But I think the best chance for us to further our lead is actually to go to Mountain Pass here and try to get a fight. Why? Because that will finish up our super syrup before the next fight in a way that's going to be really, really impactful. So I think Bayonet comes out, and I think the best damage item we have is probably Barbed Wire. Yep, I think these come out, and we try to fight something. That's going to allow us to scale Super Syrup up, and we did get lucky. This is a beatable boss, but even if it wasn't beatable, we would probably get rid of our super syrup unless we were fighting Lich or something that killed us too fast. But this is perfect for us. We have a chance to get energy potion or multi-tool, as well as flashy mechanic. All of those would be great. I would also take Sharpening Stone and Eagle Talisman. Boiler Room Brawler is a totally fine enemy to fight. It's got a fair amount of good stuff for us. And Super Syrup completed right before the end of that fight. And that's exactly what we wanted. And we got Energy Potion, which is amazing for us. And we're sitting on 55 crit on Revolver and 35 crit on Concealed Dagger. We're looking really strong right now. Alright, so I will be back in just a sec. Alright, I'm back. I was able to get a Silver Strength from that skill vendor there, which is obviously great for what we're doing. The question for you, before you pause, is what is the setup? Exactly how would you set this board up? I know it's a little tough to do in your head instead of moving stuff around, but do it. Alright, so the big thing here is because we had the foresight to take this powder flask, we now have infinite energy potions, which is very good. We don't really have anything else that's going to be better. I would not put Silencer out. I think having all these items out is going to just do more damage than adding 10 damage to any one item. We still want Revolver to be the one that gets our benefit from left-handed, and so that's the main thing. We will be looking to see how many times Concealed Dagger crits if we can see that. It's a little tough because everything that triggers at 4 seconds trigger at the same time, so a lot of things will happen. But I think we are really well positioned here, especially with our haste potion here. The fact that this thing hastes for 4 seconds at silver is just absolutely nuts. I do not know why this item is so overtuned, but you know what? We will take it. Looks like we're fighting probably a burn dually. Oh, it looks like a critical core dually with a micro Dave and a gold alpha ray pretty early on. He's got some slow for us, but luckily we've got this haste, which I think is going to really put us in a dominant position. Yeah, that's really, really strong. That's really tough to beat. Sayonara. And we'll just check our damage there. We did only get 1 Concealed Dagger hit. I would have loved more than that. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. And 2 Lumbor hits. Interesting that this shows 1 times, even though this triggered twice. Don't exactly know why that is. But we are scaling quite nicely. We are leveraging our early game advantage. And let's move on to day 4. As we go further into the days, you're going to see me check in less and less. A lot of the decisions that matter, there's a lot of decisions to make early that matter a lot. And then as your build kind of forms itself, there's kind of less decisions. You're sort of tweaking what you already have. But you're going to see me here in just a moment. Okay, we're back very quickly. I went to JJ and found a Trebuchet here, which is insanely good with our weapon and haste build. All right, extremely strong. The question for you now is, now that we know we have Trebuchet, and I have these items as options to buy, what should I buy, and what should my board look like in preparation? So the big question is it worth buying something here? That's the big question. And so I'm just going to play around with my board here and see what I think is the best move. Hand Axe feels a little too slow now. Lumbors feels fine, but we definitely want Trebuchet out. I want to keep Concealed Dagger out. Barbed Wire is something I'm not really committed to. And so I could see Katana fitting into this slot quite nicely. The question is, what we're trying to look for is kind of like an infinite amount of weapon attacks and haste triggers to kind of keep Trebuchet machine gunning. That's kind of what we're looking for. And ideally, if you have 2 fast-firing items, that's better than 1 medium fast-firing item that's getting... because you can haste 2 things instead of 1 thing. But let's say we had 2 barbed wires out. This is going to attack... if I have 2 of these, it's going to be 2 attacks every 4 seconds. Alright? That's the same as Katana. 2 attacks every 4 seconds. But this gets double hasted, so that's more haste triggers for Trebuchet. So even something like barbed wire here is actually 2 of those would be better than katana. The tricky thing is I don't have 2 barbed wires or 2 4-second items. So currently, katana is better than what I have. Now, it is worth calling out here that concealed dagger is quite slow and potentially not worth keeping, but we're keeping it because we want that income that it's giving us right now, and we're not at a point where we need to get rid of it. So, all that being said, I think bayonet, hand axe, lumbors, all easy sells, as well as grappling hook. I'll keep scrap just in case I get something shielded later. We can add a little shield to it. I'm also just going to preemptively get rid of silencer here, mostly because it's bronze. We're moving into the later days, and I haven't been given an opportunity to use or upgrade it. So I will look for a higher tier 1 later in the fight if I need one, later in the run. So we'll buy katana here, and I think that's a significant improvement on our board, and we'll continue forward. All right, we just leveled up to level 5. We are at Argenta, and we are presented with Final Flame, Net Launcher, and Stunning Strike, all of which are useful. The question for you is which one to pick. Do we extend our burn? Do we add some disruption with some slow? Or the first time we crit, do we freeze some more disruption? All of these are great, and it is a really tough choice. One of the things that I'm noticing about my build, though, is that the only scaling I have is the burn from Trebuchet, right? That makes this feel a little stronger to me, because we're essentially doubling the amount of burn from Trebuchet. That being said, it's one thing I'll call out here is the silver tier skill pool is very large. I wasn't originally going to show you what skill I picked, because it probably would not have been very instructive, because oftentimes you don't get a lot of good choices. So it's very rare to be given three good choices on Argenta. Usually you're kind of making do with what she gives you, or even re-rolling. But all of these are great. I would say I would pick Net Launcher over Stunning Strike, mostly because this is more disruption. Slowing 2 items for 3 seconds, I think, is more than freezing 1 item for 3 seconds, especially in the early fights. Freeze gets better later when every second counts, but earlier in the game, slow is really strong because fights last longer. So you're going to get that full slow duration, and the fight's not going to end before the slow ends, you know. And so in that case, Net Launcher actually tends to be pretty good now. But I think because we're lacking any scaling, Final Flame is just going to add a lot of scaling to our build, and I think that's definitely the way to go. So the question for you right now is, which enemy would you fight? Simple. We are quite strong enough to beat Hydra Dude. We don't have any slow, so we really don't care if we get anything from him. I'll take his stuff, but I'd take Electric Heals because I can sell it for more. But yeah, we're doing very well here. We still haven't got to a point where we're, mass attacking with Trebuchet, so that's something that I'm still looking at as a potential option as we move forward. And we did get lucky with the Electric Eels, so that'll sell for a pretty penny, which is exactly what we need. All right, here we are at the end of day 4. Just make sure. Yep. And I was able to find quite a few things that are good. So the first things that I found was this Butterfly Swords. And because this essentially has a 3.5 second cooldown, it was going to be better to put this in, whoops, like this, over the katana. So that was the first thing that happened. Now, then I refreshed the same weapon shop, and I was shown Shark Ray. Shark Ray has a big, huge scaling benefit and was just buffed from haste. So this going in now means that we scale in 2 different ways. We have the burn, and we have Shark Ray, which is getting stronger. It is unclear whether this is better in a larger sense than Butterfly Barbed Wire, but I do think it is. Even though it is slower and it doesn't have as many haste triggers and it weakens Trebuchet, I think it more than makes up for it in the fact that it scales itself. So Katana is officially out, but these 2 will keep around just in case. I was able to fight someone at the convoy, I leveled up, and then I got a gunpowder. And I think this is a perfect thing to put on an energy potion here, The reason is because A, I want it out of my inventory, and maybe there's a case for keeping it for now. But eventually, if I can get this energy potion where I don't have to have powder flask on it because maybe it has 4 or 5 ammo charges, that's huge. Freeing up a slot right now would be literally insane for me. So that's what we're at, and we're ready to fight
Go ahead. Underestimate.
this guy.
It makes this more fun.
Tempering is really good. Looks like he's going for kind of a ammo weapon. Oh, he's got holsters, so he's fast. Will he be? He's got quite a lot of health, actually. He's got more health than I do. The question is, will he be able to keep up with our scaling? And he will not. He did put a good fight up. Very fast early game attacker. But as you can see, Shark Ray did a lot of damage there. Let's take a look at our recap. Yep. Shark Ray out-damaged our Trebuchet there. Most likely. The burn there is actually pretty significant, so it's actually not clear. They did about the same amount of damage. And so that means that this was a good addition to our build. And we took another win. Still undefeated in this Vanessa run. That doesn't happen every time. I'll let you know that. But it's instructive. Let's continue. Just hopping in real quick here. I was offered this captain's wheel, and I just want to call out that this is a bait here. We do not need more haste triggers. This I do not think improves our board state. Adding more haste, we're permanently hasted. Really, the main way that we gain benefit at this point, like this double barrel is actually much more interesting, right, than this captain's wheel, because this is a lot of attack triggers, and if I can put like powder flask on it and not have to worry about my energy potion, that actually constitutes a lot more of a gain on the build. And I actually very well may do that. Now that we have 2 ammo on this energy potion, I could see it being conceivable that that's enough to kind of like actually rush people down. And so just wanted to call that out. All right, here we are at the day 5 PvE fight. I did purchase that double barrel that I talked about. Here I have the setup. Here I have these items. One thing I want to call out is that I was able to pick up Wanted Poster. Really, really great item to just sit in your inventory for the extra experience that it gains. Super strong on Vanessa. Love this item so much. The question for you is, we're about to fight a PvE. First question is, which opponent do we fight? And what board do we use to fight them? Okay, so I'm going to decide this in this order. Who do I want to fight? Honestly, all 3 of these enemies are actually great for us. You'll love to see options like this. Diamond Fangs on Sabretooth is one of the best freaking skills in the game. A shiny Fang would be literally insane for us. That being said, very low chance of getting that. Hakaruvian Rocket Trooper has Rocket Boots, which would be pretty good for us. Gunpowder, which would be great. Shadowed Cloak might be able to fit in the build. Be a little tricky. Or an Eagle Talisman. Or do we go to, what is it? Trash Town Mare. Trash Town Mare has Sharpening Stone, which would be good, as well as Augmented Weaponry, which would be literally the nuts. So we have some choices here. None of them stand out to me as a clear win. I do like this opportunity to get more ammo to put on our energy potion. That's really going to extend our long-term advantage. Otherwise, we're kind of like just, risking what we could get. I think we're most likely to get a good item from Hakaruvian Rocket Trooper. One of the better ammo-centric people that you can fight. And if I'm not mistaken, he also has Flashy Reload, which is great for us, as well as Keen Eye. So I didn't call that out earlier, but yeah, those are really, really good. So I think that's the choice. And then I don't want to just beat him up. So I think I'm in a position where I want Concealed Dagger out. I want Revolver out. He's not super strong. So I actually want to take Shark Ray off. And I'm almost tempted to just leave this like this. We don't need to be much stronger than this. And then we have more chances to get more Concealed Dagger hits off. So I think this is the way we'll play. When you have something like Concealed Dagger here, it's important not to go like hardcore every single fight. because you really want to get these triggers off. And one more gold really does matter. It looks like we're still a little too strong. Unfortunate there, but what can you do? And we got super lucky with the flashy reload. Super, super lucky. There's part of me that's interested in not taking this for the instruction, but I also do want to get 10 wins because I need to level. I need to rank up. So as much as I think it'd be instructive not to take this, because you don't need this, we are going to take it. All right, perfect. So based on what we have here, we've got a lot of options. What would you either level up or would you take a skill? Pause and consider. So I think we have a lot of options. Concealed Dagger is definitely not one of them. We do know that Shark Ray is really good for our build. Wanted Poster is something that could be worth upgrading. Pet Rock could be worth upgrading, as well as Trebuchet could be worth upgrading. And I could see Double Barrel also being worth upgrading. The big thing for Trebuchet getting upgraded, well, that worked out. No, it didn't. Trebuchet is that it gains 2 burn and 20 damage. So it doesn't gain a huge amount, but it does trigger a lot. And so that actually ends up mattering quite a bit. This would be an extra 5% crit. This could constitute an extra additional experience on every fight that we win. And currently we're winning a lot of fights. Very tough choice. I think also Shark Ray's in the running. What does its scaling go to? Shark Ray. It gains 50% more scaling on Shark Ray. That is not nothing. That is quite a lot. I'm really torn here. I think the ones that I like the best are Shark Ray and Wanted Poster, with maybe a third being Trebuchet. The thing about Trebuchet is that if we see pull, we're very likely to get an upgrade for this. So I'm not as concerned about upgrading Trebuchet. We're pretty likely to get upgrades for this as the game goes on, but less likely for Wanted Poster. I think because we're strong early, and because we're really trying to take advantage of our we've started off strong, we haven't lost a single fight. How do you extend that advantage? I think the best way for me to do that is actually upgrading Wanted Poster here. This means that if we win our next fight, which we are well positioned to do, we're going to gain 2 extra or 1 extra experience for it. Oh, that was a mistake on my part. So this only is more experience if it's on your board. Interesting. Okay, so I misunderstood that. That was not the right upgrade there. I wonder if this is ever worth leaving out and doing something like this. No, that's only 20 experience. And interesting here is another mistake that I'm recognizing, is that this is a friend, which actually reduces our Pet Rock's effectiveness. Even though it's really strong, Pet Rock needs to come off. So that was a good thing to catch now. So all that being said, let's rearrange this to be what we want. Powder Flask, Double Barrel. This needs to come off now. Revolver can come in. Do we ever put Wanted Poster in play? We did waste our level up on that. I did think that both of the experience gains would increase. That being said, we could take a risk and put Wanted Poster on our board with something like probably Butterfly Swords here. Like this. And maybe this is enough to win our next fight and at least gain that experience. The big thing that I want to consider before I do that is whether or not I'm just trying to make up for this, what I feel would be lost value. We're looking at 20% crit on everything. We only have 2 energy charge potions if we do it this way. This feels a little risky. there's a lot of opponents that we could fight where we would end up, I think, losing that fight. So I think this is definitely the stronger way to go. We don't want Pet Rock on the board because we have Shark Ray. And I do think we're in a position where we can kind of get rid of some of this stuff that's been clogging up our arteries here. I also think Pet Rock's probably out. Actually, maybe not. We might eventually take Shark Ray out here too. So we'll do this. The crit chance is pretty good in the sense that that increased crit chance means that we will potentially reload Energy Potion. So there is that argument there, that's going to kind of keep our Energy Potion going. Wow, that is interesting. So that actually makes the case for Wanted Poster. Let's go through the next couple of days, and then we'll reassess. Actually, we're back. We're back immediately. I think we have a really interesting decision right here. Between Ayla, Utility Box, and Jules Cafe. Take a second. Think about what you're going to do. All right. Here's my line. All right. We're going to put Wanted Poster in. All right. With Pet Rock. No. With Concealed Dagger. Just like this. Okay. This means that now we've got that decent crit chance on most of our items. And we are going to take Jules Cafe's temporary damage boost. This is going to really set us up to put up a good fight in the next fight. We have the flashy reload to keep our Energy Potion going from Wanted Poster. And I think with this sort of aggressive stance, especially with us being given Relax here, we can lean into winning this next fight, setting ourselves really well up to win it, and snag this extra 2 experience by doing so. That's the plan. We'll take Relax here. And looks like we're not fighting someone who's particularly strong. They've only won one of their fights so far, but let's see if our decisions have paid off. And looks like Armored Core with Brick Buddy, doesn't have Duct Tape. He does have Command Ship, but I think that we will be able to get him. One thing, yep, we just got to reload on our Energy Potion, and Energy Potion is fully reloadable, so no issue there. This felt really strong. I think we would have beaten a lot of builds with this, and we were able to snag extra experience for ourselves, which feels really strong. Our recap here is Trebuchet doing most of the damage. We did get a Concealed Dagger crit off, so that's actually 2 extra gold for us, which means our economy is doing pretty well. I feel really strong about what we're doing right now. Let's continue, and we just snagged ourselves 4 experience. We get 1 experience for 2 experience for this being on board. Oh, look at me. I'm such a goof. I'm misreading this again. I'm gaining 1 additional experience for Poster being in play. Goodness gracious. So my original understanding is correct, and then I just misread. We're back. We're back in it. Okay, let's go through the next day. Quite the over-explain. It's going well, despite some blunders on my part. Okay, we are back. We are about to fight our PvE fight. The question for you is, who would you fight, and what would your board be? Alright, so the big thing that you're going to notice here is that we got Gunner. Alright, Gunner was the skill we got from our level 8 upgrade. Now we have 2 max ammo on everything. This really puts me in a position with this, as well as Flashy Reload, where reloading this is not a problem anymore. The big question is reloading this a problem anymore? With 20% crit, 20, alright, is that going to actually fill this up enough to be good enough to fight with? And further question is, should we still be putting Concealed Dagger out during these PvE encounters so we can gain the gold from it? I think the answer is yes to the latter. To the former question, I do not know the answer. So, one of the tough decisions here is, do I further my economic advantage by using Concealed Dagger, or do I test out Double Barrel's ability to stay charged? These are the 2 questions that I have. Now, I think I want to do a test. I want to make sure that this is not going to lose me my next fight, and I'm not really sure. This has four, right? Ammo, which is quite a lot. And so we really only need 1 or 2 crits to actually charge this for us to probably have already won by that point. So then the next question is, which opponent do you fight? And I think the best fight here is actually Trash Golem. And the reason is, Trash Golem, is because of Jury Rigor. When you use an ammo item, reload the item to the left of it. That would be really strong for us, mostly because then I could put my energy potion here, and then that would help keep the double barrel charged. And because this attacks so much with a crit chance, then it will likely self-synergize and it will reload the energy potion, and then that will in turn reload the double barrel. So while I would like more gold and experience from Enclave Weaver, I know that I'm going to gain 1, 2, 3 more experience, and that's not enough for me to level up, right? So this is 3, 1, 2, 3, so that's 6 experience, which is not enough for me to level up by going to Enclave Weaver. So I think Trash Golem is the way it is, and instead of scaling with Concealed Dagger here, I am just going to test out to make sure that this makes sense. It's important to know this kind of stuff. I mean, it would be obviously ideal if I did not have to look at this, but let's see here. We didn't end up needing it, but I didn't get an actual reload on my double barrel there.
See that plank?
Don't need that, which makes me a little concerned. A little concerned indeed. Especially because we're kind of taking a risk here with this wanted poster. Like, I could probably do something like this, and I would be in a much better spot, right? That'll probably end up what I'm doing. I probably should have asked to see what you would think is the best choice there, but this will probably end up what we're doing because this is 40 and 20% crit. But then we lose our crit chance, which is the entire reason that this is functional. And we add, one of the tricky things is flashy reload's not smart. It'll reload something even if it's at full ammo. So not quite as clear, but I think one of the ways around this tough decision is actually going to Gumballs. And if we can get a little extra crit here, that'll actually help my decision making. Here's a good example of why having a good economy is so important. We are out of money because I just went to Gumballs, and here I'm offered right-handed, and the only way I'd be able to actually snag this is by selling wanted poster, which I don't feel like I can do. I just wanted to chime in. I've really sat here for like 5 minutes on the same screen. I know it has been 0 time for you, but this is such a boost to Trebuchet, this 30 damage, that I have just been considering what I could sell. And this, like even selling Shark Ray has crossed my mind. Just because I know how powerful upgrading this is, it's the tough thing is that 30 damage is almost doubling Trebuchet's damage, right? Or 50% increase. But this does about as much damage as Trebuchet, so it would be a significant damage reduction. And so, do you get rid of double barrel, right? These are all kind of the questions that are crossing my mind. Just because I recognize how powerful this is, and if I sold all of this, I would just be 2 away. These are those super tough decisions that you're sometimes faced with, and it's really important that you sit here and make sure that you make the best decision, because it'll matter a lot. If I did sell this, I would have a board like this. My crit chance would actually come in, and now like I have more options as far as like what's like this is more likely to get reloaded. So I think in the end, if I sold the tough thing here though is that if I sell 4, 5, 6, that's still not enough. I'd have to sell one of these 2 items, and I'd probably end up selling the Concealed Dagger. And so then I end up with something like Grenade. I end up with an empty space on my board right before I go into the next fight. So as much as this is really strong, I think the cost for actually playing it is just a little too high. And as much as I hate to do it, I'm 2 gold away essentially, which means that if I had fielded Concealed Dagger in the PvE fight, I might literally have enough to do what I need to do. So that 2 gold absolutely matters here. I think I have to pass, even though I really don't want to. Okay, so I think I've talked this board state to death. I think this is where we're going to end up. This will help Double Barrel most likely not run out of ammo, or at least it's relatively unlikely. I was able to snag 5% crit on all of these items, which does matter. That's essentially a skill from one gumball machine, so I'll pay 10 for that any day. Let's jump into the fight. See how we do. This is the first fight that I don't feel particularly well positioned. I know we're strong, but I'm not exactly sure how strong, because a lot of what we did today didn't make us that much stronger. We've got a heavy rock. Love seeing flagship without a crazy amount of crit. And now we start scaling with our haste going. He doesn't have a lot of defense, and we got him. Let's see where most of our damage is coming from. I do like to see this double barrel with plenty of ammo at the end of that fight. That means we can scale and keep going. A lot of our damage came from that double barrel. That's really good. And probably trebuchet right after that. Shark Ray would eventually have become a really big damage point for us. So it wasn't there this time, but it's because if it had attacked a third time, we would have probably seen it surpassing or keeping up with the other 2 damage items that we have. All right, onward. Okay, so very interesting. These 2 items just popped up. I got a Shark Ray upgrade here from Mattel, and then I refreshed, and these 2 things came up. So the question for you is, based on what I have, is it worth it to sell and pivot into an ammo build? That's your question. I think the answer is yes, but we need to do some calculations on how much money we have. So, I would want to keep Pet Rock. Shark Ray could be sold. Trebuchet could be sold, right? Grenade is fine. That gives us 2 spots. I want Pet Rock, though. I want Pet Rock on the board because I want that crit from Pet Rock. Grenades, whatever. And now this powder flask actually becomes less impactful because I have more things that can crit that are on the board. And I definitely think we make this switch. I think it's extremely strong to get Pistol Sword and Repeater. Another question for you right now is, well, we'll actually talk about that here in just a sec. So let's do our calculation. I need 24. I have 3. I need 21. 8 minus 21 is 13. Minus 6 is 7. Minus 4 is 3. So not quite enough to get both the things that we want. Unless we also sell wanted poster, which I really do not want to do. That's part of the reason that we're so successful right now. I could sell this. Let me just recalculate again. This is 8 plus 6, which is 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. 19 plus 3 is 22, and we need 24. Again, we are running into a position where we are 2 gold off, and it matters. It matters in a big way. Because I really do not want to sell Pet Rock. I don't want to sell Wanted Poster. I definitely don't want to sell Revolver or Double Barrel. I'm willing to sell all of this. But I'm 2 gold away, and obviously I can't sell Energy Potion. That would be just silly. So I think we have to bite the bullet here and sell Wanted Poster. I really don't want to, but I think that we have to. Those 2 are gone. That's gone. And now we have enough for these 2. And we are on our way to a ammo build. I'll see you in a bit. I went to the free weapon item, and I got a repeater. Okay. This has been a bit of a lucky build, but it has been instructive. Okay, here we are. The question for you is, who are we fighting, and what board state do we need to be in? All right, so the main thing that matters here is that pistol sword move all the way to the left. I think that's the real only thing that we need to do that matters. This can be in whatever order it needs to be. It doesn't. I don't think it matters at all. All right, you know, I'll pick what looks the best here, which is like this: support items on the right, damage items on the left. All right, that looks pretty good to me. And who do we fight? There's two options here. So we could go to Cosmic Rock, and we could get cooldown reduction from the feathers. We could get Keen Eye. We could get his skill that hastes on crit, all of which are great. We are sitting at a casual, a decent amount of crit chance on our items, enough to actually trigger crits, which is what we need for Flashy Reload. But because we have some decent staying power with Flashy Reload here, I do want to see if we can beat Radiant Corsair. I think our damage is very high, and more than that, I think we have enough staying power to stay in the fight. But I do think that we are in a position where it'll be a little tricky to win the fight, so I'm hesitant to put out Concealed Dagger. I mean, it's 40% crit, so it's about the same as Grenade. Okay, I think we do need the money, so I'm going to take the risk on going for Concealed Dagger here. We might lose this fight, but I think we can win it, so let's go. The safer choice there was Cosmic Rock, but any chance at Fiery Rebirth here, and as well as this 5 experience, is something I am interested in. So once we start going, let's see if we can make it happen. We're doing okay on ammo. You know, we've got full ammo on Revolver here. Repeater looks pretty good. We did get another energy potion there. I really now want my crits to not be on energy potion. But see, we've run out of ammo. Let's see if we can get some crits. We got a crit. Alright, Revolver, it's all on you. Oh no. The crit was just not enough. We're very close. Maybe with a little more luck we would have been able to pull it out, but I don't think we're going to. Very close fight. Was it the right choice? It's really hard to say. Really hard to say. But that gives us an indication of where this build is at currently. Right now, we're missing that crit percent. That's really where we're going to gain the most impact, because then Flashy Reload's going to work. So, let's move on. Okay, we managed to get level 10 right before we got to our day 7 fight. One thing I could have called out there, I didn't think about it, but one of the reasons it would have been okay to risk fighting the Radiant Corsair there is because we were still going to hit level 10 before this fight. So I didn't have to take any... Oh, I did, actually. That's a good point. No, that was not guaranteed. That was a potential reason not to fight him, because we would have missed this upgrade. But I was able to go to Bazaar and gain 2 extra experience, which is allowing me to get to level 10 right before this fight. So I did get a little lucky. That being said, we are offered the shield effect or a random enchantment effect. What is the choice? Okay, so I think the best choice here, I think shield is really good. All right, it's definitely really good. Putting this on double barrel is not bad, but pistol sword has some of the best enchantments in the game. All right, now shielding is not the best one. It says just whenever you use an ammo item, shield 15, but whenever you use an ammo item, freeze a small item. Whenever you use an ammo item, slow. Whenever you use an ammo item, burn. All right. Oh, there's my dog. All of these end up being really strong. So, and turbo here is literally insane. So I think the best way for us to get stronger is actually to do a random enchant on the pistol sword. Obviously, this is a bit of a gamble, but you know what? Here we've got a position where anytime we use an ammo item, we're going to heal. That's going to make us a little bit more tanky. It's not what we wanted, but you know, I think it's about as good as shielded would have been. But we had that opportunity to get insanely strong. Heavy, icy, turbo, fiery, deadly, all would have been insane. Even radiant would have been good. Shiny would have been fine. Obsidian would have been fine. A lot of really, really good items there. Rather, outcomes there. And so that's all about taking those, you know, measured risks, right? You have to. And you have to go for something that's going to be stronger. We've got a Caltrops at 136 damage. I don't know if we can win this fight. I think that's a little too high. We're going to do our best. The healing might keep us in, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Yep. A little too strong. caltrops there with the crook. We haven't met a critical threshold where we're doing enough damage to do that. That being said, I don't think shielded double barrel would have saved us there. So just wanted to call that out. I don't think that's enough. He pretty much did all of his damage with caltrops there. And that's a counter to us, and that's just the way it goes. All right, let's continue forward. Okay, here we are at Ayla. All right. And my question for you, is it worth to buy a torpedo here? That's my question. I think so. I think that this item is actually better than revolver and concealed dagger here, and it's going to be one of the ways that we actually finish out the fight. We have plenty of ammo on it. With it hasted, it'll do a lot of damage, and the big thing here is we have a lot of flat aggressive damage, but this is actually going to be something that scales. Right now, one thing that we're missing is sort of like damage that's just going to be being done, and so this is a great way to just add a lot of damage to our build. So I think that's great. I think that's exactly something we want to see. All right, here we are at the top of day 8. We were able to find a upgrade for that torpedo, and so let's go against this guy.
My fight isn't with you, but if you insist.
Brick Buddy Monitor Lizard Companion Core, an interesting little haste build that he has going on. But I do not think that that's going to be enough. Pretty good scaling there on Torpedo. I can't say I'm incredibly impressed, but I think it was pretty good. Let's take a look at our damage. I suspect that it's still Restorative Pistol Sword, but it looks like Pistol Sword is actually being competed with in its effectiveness with Torpedo. So that's perfect. That's really good. That means that we've significantly improved the build. That's awesome. Alright, so here we have an interesting decision here on day 9 in these 3 options. Small Weapon, Jules Cafe, or Mattel. Which choice would you make? In my opinion, I think that Mattel is an interesting choice because it could give us one of these 3 upgrades. I mean, that is really hard to pass up, okay? We have 4 medium items that would all be extremely impactful to upgrade. But the real question is it better to set ourselves up for victory on the next fight? Now, there's 2 things to consider here. One is, have we already made 7 wins? We already have. So now, the biggest threshold is to get to 10 wins. And to get to 10 wins, I need to be more and more powerful. We already have gotten a Stunning Strike and a Quick Freeze. These are coming in just at the right time, near the late game where freeze matters a lot more. So, let's say I upgrade I get a bunch of extra damage, and that helps me win the next fight, but then I lose the next 2 fights. Well, it didn't really matter that I won that next fight. It actually didn't mean anything. And so I think the best decision here is actually to go to Mattel and to look for upgrades for the stuff that we currently have. I will take a wanted poster back in our inventory, and I was willing to do that because I knew that I'd still be able to reroll and upgrade. Ramrod's interesting, but not what we want. And we were lucky enough to get something that we needed. So now, instead of just winning the next fight, we've gotten stronger for the rest of the game. Alright, here we are at the top of day 9. Luckily, this guy doesn't look like he's going to be too much of a fight, but you never know with these Pygmalions. He may have completed his Exodia build this day. That being said, we did go to, we spent all our money on gumballs, mostly because crit is such a high commodity for us, or rather something that's very important for us to have. So I went ahead and, gained two more crit, and I do think that that tends to be worth it because of how critical it is to our build. Just recognizing that and be willing to pay whatever price for that crit is kind of what I'm trying to convey. So let's see. This guy's a lot of health, so technically he tends to counter our build, but we'll see if we have some staying power here now that we've got Torpedo, a little bit more crit from Trashy Reload, and some upgrades on our items. Energy Potion still doing its stuff. I'd like to not see so many reloads on Energy Potion here now, though. And, oh my gosh, it looks like it's going to be just enough with all of that scaling on Torpedo. Torpedo ends up completing the fight. Again, crit's going to make us scale into it later, but Torpedo really kept us in that fight and is going to be the thing that allows us to eventually win harder and harder fights because it scales up. Just calling this out, this will be the third time that this happens. I have 12 to sell, which puts me at 19. And it's 20 to get this. The question is it worth selling Pet Rock here for extra ammo? That is a really tough choice. But I do think it's the right move. And I'm going to make a very tough decision here to sell Pet Rock to upgrade our gunner. Alright, let's see how that goes. Interestingly enough, there's two good options here. I'm going to ask you, okay, what opponent would you fight? And my answer is it's between Property Baron and Hulking Experiment. We might be able to beat Void Golem, but probably not. He kind of counters our build. The big thing here is Property Baron is likely to give us a lot of money, and we are low on money, let me tell you. But Hulking Experiment has ammo-related skills. He doesn't have much items that he can give us, but we could get Anathor here, which would sell for good. But Parting Shot would be really, really strong for us. So we got to take the risk on Hulking Experiment here, and let's see if we get lucky. I would also take a Rainbow Potion or Bottled Lightning. Anathor, Bottled Lightning, Parting Shot, Rainbow Potion. So there's actually some decent stuff I would take here. That is not one of them, but at least that will go on our board. Alright, and here we are, given an opportunity to upgrade an item or take a gold tier skill. Let's take a quick look at Torpedo. Its scaling goes up 50%, so that's probably got to be it. Gold tier skills could be good. Could give us something like that gives us a significant amount of crit, and the crit could be really impactful. But I think right now, just getting that Torpedo upgrade might be the thing that actually keeps us in the game.
The keener the blade, the quicker the fight.
Perfect. Alright, let's continue forward. Alright, here we are at the top of day 10. We have an interesting decision. I was able to pick up an Arbalist here. When you haste, this gains 60 damage. It is an ammo item. The question is, which item should it replace? I think that's a tough call. I'll let you think about it. Or should it replace anything? That's another good question, right? The tough thing about changing Repeater is that it is one of the things that uses ammo for the Torpedo. It's one of the ways that this Torpedo scales quite a lot. So it's actually either between Pistol Sword or Repeater, I think. Mostly because Pistol Sword doesn't quite have enough damage for it to be super, super strong right now. And this haste scaling is pretty insane. Let's see here. Yeah, so pretty tough decision. This is helping scale this. This is part of our survivability, right? And it is a significant amount of damage, especially on top of Double Barrel. I think we'll take out Repeater here and see how this feels for this fight. I think this will be an increase in our effectiveness, mostly because we don't have that critical crit threshold, especially after selling Pet Rock, to gain items from Flashy Reload, because we made that gamble on upgrading Gunner here. This actually scales up, doesn't require as much ammo to function, so I think that's definitely the best pick. We got to put it in, but the question was, what do we put it in for?
My fight isn't with you, but if you insist.
All right. We've got a very fast Lynxian with 100% crit. It's not enough to kill us in one shot, though. And we did get a freeze on it, so we've got a chance here. Oh, but this is going to kill us, I think. Oh my gosh, we're barely alive. But he did get the second battery off. Nice job. He got us there. he had a lot of good ways to charge that and managed to get it off 3 times. Oh, and he had Icy Crow's Nest. Wow, he had a really strong build with Alacrity and Hard Shell. Very strong build. So he's scaling up very nicely. We're not down and out though, so let's continue forward. All right, at our level 14 level up, we were given C4 for ammo skills, and we found Parting Shot, which is a super, super strong skill for us. One of the things we're missing is we only have 1 enchantment on our board right now. We were able to get an upgrade on our pistol sword, and we put Nesting Doll in instead of that silly potion, which is better. But here, Parting Shot is awesome for us, so it's going to be a big boost to the build. I'd also love this item, but I can't put it on right now. So the question for you is, which one do we fight? And I think this one's a little tough. I think we just go Trash Titan. I don't remember if I don't think Boss Harlow has much for ammo. He's got Strength, which we have a lower tier version, so we can't get that. Assault Focus would be great, and Keen Eye would be great. So actually, I think that's better than Trash Titan. Yep, we're going to go Boss Harlow. This just has a bit better chance, and the money and experience doesn't matter immediately. And so I'm willing to kind of take this risk on Keen Eye or Assault Focus, because those would really matter for what I'm doing. All right. We were getting a pretty good crit there on Double Barrel by the end. That's terrible. Onward. Okay, actually, we're back immediately. So, the question for you is, we're going to go to Artist. What are we enchanting? What is the enchant target? Okay, so both Arbalist and Torpedo are generally good options, especially for a second enchantment target. The big thing, though, is that we really don't even have a first enchant target. This one is really not very helpful for us at all, and it is a critical piece to the build. So, as much as I'd like to get Fiery Arbalist or Poison Torpedo with some extra damage or something like that, or anything like that, or Shielded Double Barrel, I think the best choice here is just to re-roll this, because if we get something good, this is not quite it. This could be really strong for us. So this is at least better. We're poisoning every time we use an ammo item. Unfortunately, still not exactly what we're looking for. But again, I think that was the best target for a random enchantment. It's just by far the most likely to be something useful. All right, here we are at the top of day 11. Let's see how our build performs.
Underestimate. It makes this more fun.
All right, he's got Petrifying Gaze. He's doing a slow burn haste. He's got a little bit of freeze. I don't see this being... He's done very well for himself. I'm just a little unsure as to how he's gotten this far. I don't see that build being particularly strong. So maybe he's just been lucky with his wins, or he scaled up early and now is reaching the later phase and he really can't win. Yeah, I fail to see how this is going to be successful. But, you know what? Happy to fight against it. We're doing good on our health. He's level 10. No, he's not. That can't be right. Got a little freeze. Yeah. I don't know where that is coming from. But I'll take the free win. Alright, so I just want to hop in here. We are on our final fight. And I have the choices of Ayla, Jules Cafe, and Battlefield. At this point, I think the best pick by far is Jules Cafe. Why? Because we only have one item that we could upgrade. And granted, an upgrade on this would be really strong. Its scaling is at silver tier, and it gets much better than that. But this is much more likely to give us a boost right when we need it. We only need one more win, so let's take the 25 damage. Alright, here we are, final fight. We are essentially a no enchantment build up against a Dooley here, who has 7 wins. Let's see if we can close it out. One of the big things that's coming good for us at this point is the freezes that we have, as well as the parting shot with flashy reload. He does have a strong build. Luckily, nothing that's coming off super strong here. He's got a little bit of... nice. We got a freeze. Would have loved to see that freeze on Deadly Railgun, but I think we're going to be a little too strong. I don't think he's going to be able to kill us before we kill him. And there we go. Cinch in the 10 wins. made some major pivots into this ammo build, and this wasn't a perfect ammo build. We essentially did not get to use flashy reload to the extent that we could. We were really just trying to make do with what we could, and we were able to get the 10 wins. Getting that torpedo was a big impact. Obviously, this build would have been even stronger if we had gotten one of the many very strong enchantments on Pistol Sword the 2 times we ran it. Pretty uncommon for me to see a board with almost no enchantments at the end of the game like this, and we were just offered very few. But despite all of that, we were still able to win, and we were against shielded cool LEDs, shielded arc blaster, and a deadly railgun. So this player had quite a bit more of that enchantment difference than we did. So hopefully that was something that was instructional and you learned from it. If you have any questions, please do include them in the timestamp, and I'll see you in the next one.